Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Genevieve. I am a spiritual medium and an artist. And in this video, I'm going to address a common concern people have about going to see a spiritual medium such as myself, psychic, tarot reader, etc. And that is concerns about privacy. People don't want their personal information, their stuff, their secrets known to other people. And they don't know whether they can trust the therapist, the medium, the psychic that they are going to see, especially if they don't know this person and they haven't seen them before. So the first thing I want to say is that that is a really, really valid concern. I have had this concern myself as well, and I continue to have this concern from time to time as a customer, as a client of spiritual practitioners. So, what is really interesting about this is that there are no regulations set up at the moment legally to sort of shepherd people who are doing psychic readings and mediumship on the correct path in terms of people's privacy. So you really have to make sure that you go to somebody that you feel has high integrity and that you can trust. And sometimes that's a little bit of a trial and error process. I would like to assure you that any good spiritual practitioner, medium, psychic, etc., considers this work sacred work. And they really value the trust of their clients, their customers, and they would have no problems discussing your concerns with you and giving you whatever reassurances you need. And you could have an agreement whereby, for example, if you wanted a recording of the session, that recording is destroyed after being sent to you, or you could say, I don't want a recording, I only want to make my notes, so that there is no trail of our discussion in the session. That's one thing that you could do. Another thing that you can do is make sure that you have good references. Um, Talk to people who know the person. And something that I really would pay attention to is when you are going for a reading with an individual, if that person starts to share the personal information they've gathered about other people with you in a way that other people can be identified. So if they share client information with you in a way where you know who the client is, so you know who they're talking about, so it's not anonymous information. If they share this with you, that is a sign that they are very, very likely to share your information with others in a way that others can identify you. So if someone starts doing this, definitely run. I've known mediums who have shared personal information for their clients with me in a way that the clients can be identified, and I was very concerned. And I would not go back to them for a reading because I felt that that was a clear indication that they didn't have a strong boundary around protecting people's privacy. If you are concerned about that, if you see any type of behavior, if they are gossiping, if they are just talking too much and sharing too much about other people, pay good attention to that and don't go back to that person, is my advice. However, I would like to reassure you that for the most part, readings are very safe. And the people who do readings are highly empathic, highly sensitive, caring, and loving people for the most part. So don't let that fear stop you from dipping your toe in the water and having a reading. And like I said, if you feel uncomfortable, then make sure that you discuss your concerns with the person and have a discussion about what you do with the recording of the session and whether they keep your personal information or not. And another tip I might give is if you are really concerned about this, and this is something that is really stopping you from having a reading with a psychic or a medium, you could consider having that reading with a psychic or a medium who you don't know, who lives in a totally other country, who doesn't know people you know, and keeping the relationship very much on a professional level and not branching out into a friendship, for example, where you might start to know people in common who could learn information about you. So those are some tips to protect yourself and take away that fear, which might be preventing you from having a spiritual reading. So this is really for people who are curious and they feel the calling to try something like a psychic reading, but they are scared about confidentiality. Very valid concern. I've given you some ways that you can mitigate that risk and that concern. And other than that, pick someone you're comfortable with and you can trust. That's my tip for today, and I hope that I see you soon for a psychic reading. Thanks for listening.